Hello, 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 and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin, known as the Dream Decipherer, and this is Dream Your Life, Live Your Dream Live, where we talk about all things dreams. Now, today's subject is hello, Denise. Nice to see you. We're talking about dream time versus real time. In other words, time dilation or even contraction. A fancy way of saying that the time or perception of time in dreams can be different. So, many of us have, I'm sure, have experienced dreams where we seem to have a great deal going on in what seems to be a short space of time, or dreams that seem to span days, months, or even years. And there's a research is throwing up some interesting information about our perception of time. And most of this research has been done with people who lucidly dream because they're aware that they're dreaming and can enter into dreams and kind of control them to a certain extent. So when researchers started working with lucid dreamers, they, in Switzerland and Germany, they had people performing pre-set tasks, whatever they may be, whether they were physical tasks or mental tasks. And they would perform these tasks when awake and then lucidly dream doing the same tasks. And then the results were compared between the two. And what they found was that motor tasks that involved, say, doing squats or something, or some kind of exercise, actually subjectively took longer during a dream than when they actually did it awake. And the researchers surmised that part of that may be because our faculties for movement, our motor control is blocked temporarily during the night, so we don't act out our dreams actually. So there's no feedback from the muscles to the brain about physical activity, and that may be one of the reasons why. Another reason that was suggested is that the way the neurons in our brains fire during dreaming is how they process. Those neurons firing processing may differ in some way from when we're awake. Maybe they process things more slowly. So some people wonder why we seem to have more dreams closer to the time we're awake, and perhaps what the reason behind that is that in order to be able to remember the dream, it needs to be as close to the time that we wake up as possible. As I said, always say, up to 95% of a dream can be forgotten within the first 5 minutes of waking up. So getting that information as close to waking time as possible actually makes sense. So, hello, Clean. It's nice to see you. Now, there was a dream and sleep researcher called William Dement, who did 2 studies that looked at lucid dreamers and their perception of time. And the first experiment, he would have the dreamers, when they were able to indicate, because they lucidly dream, were able to indicate when a dream began and ended by movement of their eyelids, basically during REM sleep. So the researcher recorded the information and then looked at, and when asked the dreamers afterwards about how much time they felt that these pieces of dreams actually took. And what he found was that the shorter dreams used less words and longer dreams used more words. And so there was some correlation between the length of the dream and the amount of description it took to describe the dream. There seems to be some kind of correlation there. In a different experiment, the same researcher, Dement, would wake sleepers during their REM sleep when they were dreaming and ask them about their most recent dream and how long they think the dream lasted. And when they correlated the information with the amount of REM sleep that was perceived by the researcher, they found that, again, there was a relationship between the dream time and real time, so that there seemed to be, the lucid dreamers were able to show, to a certain extent, that they could accurately tell how long they had actually been dreaming. Now, it's good to stop here for a minute and look at the neuroscience of this, which is there's a lot of players going on in our brain with this. First of all, we have the hippocampus, which processes information and emotions particularly, and it makes connections between all the different billions of bits of information that pop in every single day, where our brain is constantly being bombarded by all kinds of stimuli from the environment, from other people, from nature, from whatever. But all of that has to be gone through and processed. And one of the things that the brain does during sleep is to not only do garbage detail and remove plaque from the brain, which a buildup can lead to things like dementia and Alzheimer's, but also consolidates memories, kind of going through all of the information that it had been receiving during the day and sorting through it. The hippocampus takes that information and stitches it together into a story. But there's another player on the scene with this, and that is the prefrontal cortex, part of the neocortex or new brain, the newer parts of the brain that developed as we became more intelligent. I use that term loosely sometimes, but this is the rationalizing part of our brains, the part that counts, evaluates, that decides, that acts, or thinks about action and sets things into motion. And if this was active during our sleep, it actually becomes temporarily short-circuited during sleep as well, as well as our motor control. So we're not acting out on whatever we're dreaming about. Now, if the prefrontal cortex was always active while we were having these dreams, we would constantly be being woken up with, is this real? Am I losing it? What's going on? So the rational mind has to be put to sleep temporarily while we're dreaming, and that's the left brain, the logical left brain, that when a dream is floated up by the image-rich and feeling-rich right brain, it goes, what? What the hell is that? And immediately discounts it as being the result of, cheap wine or eating cheese at night, whatever. But the electrical stimuli of all of these neurons firing in the brain is creating random images and emotions and experiences to come floating up, which the hippocampus then again stitches together into a story. So it's only when the prefrontal cortex is completely out of commission, and maybe with lucid dreamers it's active but at a lower level. I don't know. I'm not a neuroscientist, but it would be interesting to find out. If there's any neuroscientists out there that can talk about this, I'd love to hear from you. But in essence, you can say that people experience dreams that can seem very long or very short, and there does seem to be some correlation between the perception of time, about the length of the dream and how long the dream actually lasts. But there's also, looking at the dream in and of itself, there's time becomes very fluid. in dreams. A few days can be compressed into a few minutes. What seems like decades long, a dream that lasts decades of a person's life, may in actuality only take 20 minutes. So there's something about, Einstein's theory of relativity and the speed of light, and how fast our thoughts actually move. And that's another discussion for another day. And with, people who are really into quantum physics, that's not my expertise. But it would be fascinating to find out more about that, how our thoughts and Einstein's theory of relativity may have something to do with our dreams. So I thank you so much for watching and listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you again soon. And let me see, next time we're going to be looking at people dreaming together, which should be interesting. I mean, I've had a couple of clients that have actually had that experience. So that's something to look forward to in the next time. So I hope you'll join me in the next one, and have a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye.